everyone. Welcome back to a brand new episode of Tech This Week. My name is Apulak. Hope all of you are keeping well. So today, I'm going to talk about a topic which at least I've heard about a lot, especially in the last year to two. Something that we had not heard so much probably last, say, 4 or 5 years back. And I'm talking about GCC. GCC, which stand for Global Capability Centers, because it has garnered attention somewhat immediately in the last 2 years. The question is, why is every global major rushing to build a GCC India? More importantly, why now? And to answer that, I think we need to rewind a little bit and understand why is GCC suddenly a very hot area? Because for more than 20 years, global companies depended very heavily on India's IT services industry, right? No prices of guessing here. We know the success of the likes of Wipro, Infosys, creating to global markets. And the biggest objective clearly was to work on cost savings. And the arrangement worked actually brilliantly for both the parties involved. But suddenly, if you see, the buzz around GCCs has exploded very, very clearly, like I said, as soon as recent as last year to this year. What has changed suddenly? So for that, we need to dig a little deeper. I think earlier, if you think of it, and that's my point number one, global companies believe why have our own setup in India when we can outsource to an Indian vendor, right? And because at the end of the day, essentially it was technology outsourcing, right? And that would mean avoid all the hassles and give, when I say give us, give them a cost advantage. But if you think uh, true, that is not true anymore, right? What used to be a cost advantage of close to almost 40 to 60% savings actually has now reduced to as low as 15-20%. And now you blow this up. When you imagine doing these things at scale, and if you compare the captive GCC costs, which includes salaries, real estate, overheads, with rates of a say IT service vendor, it actually, and surprise of surprise, it actually starts favoring at times captives, especially for long-term continuous work. So GCCs, I mean, the way they thought through is, they can reinvest those savings back into more capability instead of sharing profit with the IT vendor. That's one. Second, very, very importantly, we live in the day of age of AI, and AI, does AI have a role here? Because see, back in the days of the best days of IT service sector, when IT was mostly confined to support, outsourcing to Indian IT firms made perfect sense. But today, tech actually has made from support function. It's not a support function. It is the core IP that differentiates one organization to another, right? And with AI coming into the picture, safeguarding not just sensitive data, but also data pipelines and models become a priority. Sensitive first party data, like how do you put it? Customer data, behavioral data, transactions, health, financial data is a true fuel for AI, and actually works as a catalyst for innovation. So from being a support function to a core IP, business vectors have changed. So global businesses are worried about who accesses this sensitive resource and how this IP will be protected. But that is a at the end of the day, that's a differentiator between them and the close competitor. So because export of this could mean losing the innovation edge that could be used as an IP, like I said, in their business. So having their own GCC gives direct control over this data pipeline that I was talking about, right? And there's a less fear of IP leakage, or that conundrum that the vendor knows more about my system than we do. So the new narrative among global businesses is you don't outsource your core anymore; you keep it within. So gateway control would also mean faster time to market, and which is a critical aspect in the AI. Earlier in the typically outsourcing model, uh, work moved slowly because every change needed approval, contracts, and long cycle. But today, AI changes that. Products need to literally evolve, if not daily, probably weekly, and not quarterly. Models must be trained, retrained, and deployed continuously. That's where GCC make a lot of sense. So AI models can be built, tested, and improved in a shorter time frame. You know, so where does this take us? Does it mean it's doomsday for IT service sector? Probably not. But the future of GCC is very, very promising. But it's probably not going to be confined to the mega GCC, because the next wave will not, I feel, only be driven by Fortune 500. They will have a significant role, but a new class of what we call as small or nano GCCs is actually emerging, and their teams of probably less than 50 to 150 people. These GCCs are quicker to set up, they scale fast, and deliver outcomes much quickly. The focus will be probably not on many areas, but on sharp capabilities on one particular area of excellence. It could be AI research, cybersecurity, data engineering, or as broad as digital product innovation. So this will unlock GCC growth beyond metros. You need smaller infrastructure, high quality people, and we've seen how the tier two towns are really shaping up. See, like Pune, Cochin, Coimbatore, Ahmedabad, Indore, they have they might have a big role to play here. And there's not only that, there's also, I mean, with all of this getting augmented, we see a significant role of government here as well. There is a policy push. The Indian government has recognized this opportunity and is actually moving fast, amongst many other things. So the national policy on GCCs aims to attract more global investments, simplify regulations, and accelerate the setup timeline. So combined with FDI reforms and state level competition, companies can now set up and go live actually in months and not years, which was a big deterrent for many of these. So, in my humble opinion, GCC is not a passing trend. They're here to stay. There's clearly a structural shift in how global technology and innovation will be built, right? Gone are the days of outsourcing. And if this momentum continues, India can still be very relevant and will become the global operating system for technology in the next decade. That's it from my end. Let me know what your thoughts are on this area. Have a great week ahead.